and welcome to my channel. My name is Niav. Today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial of the McCall's 7847 fur coat. Now, I've only been sewing for 3 years. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I looked everywhere for a video of this pattern and I couldn't find it anywhere. So today I'm going to be providing it to you. And a little bit about myself. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I'm a pretty novice sewer. I'm very inspired by festival fashion, rave wear, club wear, and even drag. So if you want more videos on like funky clothing tutorials, kind of like what I'm wearing today, this is not what I made in the video, but this is just something I've been working on, like my Scooby-Doo inspired outfit. Let's get straight into the tutorial of the McCall's 7847 fur coat.
For my fabric, I chose a short pile faux fur. And then for the lining fabric, I also chose a short pile faux fur. And for the side lining pieces, I chose a black charmeuse fabric because I'm going to be adding some zipper pockets to the sides and I didn't want the faux fur to get caught in the fabric. Now here we have all my pattern pieces cut out. Here are the two collar pieces, the sleeve lining, the back. And you can see that I folded over the edge of the pattern because I'm using a size medium, but I still wanted to keep the pattern pieces of extra large and large. So I just folded those over to get size medium. Here's the back lining piece, and then here are all the front pieces, the front fabric and the front lining fabric. I put the black charmeuse because that's where I'm going to be adding the zipper pocket on this panel. We have a front lining piece and a front fabric piece. So the first two pieces that we're going to be working on are piece number 1, which is the front fabric, and piece number 2, which is the back front fabric. Now the directions say to E-stitch underneath the armhole, so that's just using long basting stitches so that we can shorten and lengthen the fabric to fit. So here I go, I'm just marking 4 inches of where I'm going to base stitch underneath the armhole. So here are E-stitches, and you want to E-stitch on the right side of the fabric. E-stitch is used to gather fabric to fit 2 different size pieces. Next, we're going to take front piece and back piece and pin it at the shoulders and sew. So here are the 2 front pieces. I take my back piece, take the pattern paper off, and then I'm going to connect it, pin and sew at the shoulders right where I'm pointing there. I use some clips to join the fabric right sides together, and for sewing I use a zigzag stitch on faux fur because I find it to be really sturdy. You can use a serger on faux fur, but I find that it just makes the faux fur get everywhere inside of my serger and I don't really like the cleanup, so I use a sewing machine. Now here we are at the ease stitch. So take one of the strings, pull it, and you'll see that the fabric starts to gather, starts to get shorter so that it lines up with that other piece. Next I'm going to clip down right on top of that ease stitch and join the pieces together and sew along the side seams of the front and back fabric. Now while you're sewing, make sure to tuck the faux fur kind of inside of the seam while you sew. It just makes the seam a little bit more visible while you're sewing, and it keeps the faux fur on the right side of the project instead of stuck inside the lining. And now you can see that this is what we have so far. And the next part of the instructions say to add the collar. The instructions also say to stay stitch the neck edge, but I didn't do that and the project turned out fine. So go ahead and pin piece number 3 to the neck edge and sew along where I pinned. And this is how it should turn out. You have a little collar piece, you have your lapels. Now I noticed this pattern has no pockets, so I'm going to show you how we're going to add some side seam pocket. Cut out 4 pieces of your lining fabric in the shape of a square, and then they put them right sides together. Then I'm going to lay my hand on top of the fabric, and then I'm just going to cut around my hand like in the shape of a pocket. And when you're done cutting, it should look like this. I take the jacket and I'm going to mark the pocket opening. So I like to mark the top of the pocket, the middle of the pocket, and the bottom of the pocket. Then I take my seam ripper, and on where I marked, I just seam rip all those stitches out so that I create an opening. So do that on the other side and you should have 2 openings that are totally lined up. Take your project and flip it over to the right side. Take your pockets and then put them right sides to right sides and sew along the pocket seam. I use clips for this because the fur can be kind of thick for pins. And then go ahead, use your zigzag stitch. Make sure you're back stitching, and these stitches are really secure because a pocket gets a lot of use out of it. So make sure it's a really strong piece. Now you can see we have a nice clean edge, clean line from where the pocket is joined at the coat. Now go ahead and do the same thing for the other side of the pocket. Once you're done, take both sides of the pocket and flip them inside of the coat like this. Then join them right sides to right sides and go ahead and clip them together. Then you're going to take it to your machine and you're going to sew all around the pocket. Your pocket should look like this with all its pins in. Sew around the edge where you see the pins right now. This can be kind of tricky because you're sewing multiple layers of faux fur, but once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad. Make sure to use a zigzag stitch though to make it extra secure. Alright, and here's what the pocket looks like when it's all finished. So the next part of the pattern is to do the sleeves. You're going to want to add an ease stitch at the top of the sleeve, so pull out piece number 4. Add a long basting stitch to the top so that both of the sleeve pieces look like this with their ease stitches. Join the side seams of your sleeves right sides together and sew them, and when they're inside out they should look like this. Then we'll move on to the next part of the instructions, which is to join the sleeves into the armholes of the jacket. So here I am pinning the side seam of the sleeve to the side seam of the jacket. And I pin all the way around in a circle, and it should look like this with all your clips in, or if you're using pins. Now take the ease stitch and do like we did before, where we pull one of the strings to pucker and gather the fabric. Don't really worry about the puckering because with faux fur, you can't really even tell that the fabric is puckered. And honestly, I kind of like the puckering look even on regular fabric. So just go ahead and gather it and then throw this into the machine and sew all the way around. This part can be tricky if you're not used to sewing with heavier weight fabrics. So go really slow on this part, take your time. And if it doesn't turn out good, just take your seam ripper and rip the seams out and try it again. You'll get it eventually. It just takes practice. Now, as you can see, I just sewed right over where that puckering was. And when I try on the jacket, you can see here that you can't even really tell that it's puckered. In fact, it kind of gives the shoulder a little bit of rise, which I think is really cute. Don't forget to do the second sleeve on the front fabric. Now we're going to go on to making the inside lining of the jacket. We're going to take the front lining pieces, number 5 and number 6, and it does say to stay stitch number 5. I just didn't, you don't need to. And then number 6 on the underarm portion, I did ease stitch. Now join 5 and 6 together, zigzag stitch. And it should have a nice clean joining in the middle right there. Look at that. Now I'm adding some zipper pockets to my lining pieces because I'm going to be adding a pocket here. Now there's tons of resources on YouTube on how to do that, so I'm not going to be showing you how to do that, but this is how mine turned out. They're so cute, I love them. Now we're going to take the back piece and join it at the shoulders. Remember I put that ease stitch on the underarm, just go ahead and give it a pull like we did before so that the size of the pieces match up. So here's that back piece that I have. I love this faux fur. It was so luxurious looking, even though it was actually pretty cheap. I'm joining it here at the shoulder seams, and I'm just gonna throw it in my machine and sew. Here is what we have so far. So you should have like 2 jackets. You should have one jacket that's lining and then one jacket that is the outside jacket. Just like we did before, we're going to take the collar. This time we're going to take piece number 7, the upper collar, and pin that to the lining jacket. When you're finished, it should look like this, and then we're going to take our sleeve lining pieces and repeat the steps that you would with the sleeves and joining them onto the lining fabric. So here's our 2 jackets. I have my lining jacket, and then I also have my leopard print outside jacket with its pockets. Next, we are going to join the outside jacket to the lining jacket. And I didn't really follow these directions completely because I've made several fur coats before, so I kind of just did it my own way. So just follow along with me and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to understand what I'm doing here. Take your outside jacket and face it right side up. Take your lining jacket, face the right side down on top of the outside jacket. Once you've got them laid on top of each other like this, and stitch along the edge. Once you're done with that, pick up the fabric like I am by pinching the middle of the fabric and lay it so the sleeves of the lining and the outside fabric are kind of across from one another. Kind of hard to see here, but make sure that the sleeves are pinned together at the side seam. So find the side seam of the sleeve and then connect the two side sleeves together with some pins and put them right sides together. See how I'm kind of sandwiching them together? They're almost like kissing the sleeves. Just take some clips. This part is really tricky, so take your time and make sure the sleeve is not twisted when you're doing this. Now feed it into the machine and sew along all where those clips are. Go really slow on this part and make sure that the sleeve is not twisted. When you're done, it should look like this, like a big tube. Now take your coat and turn it inside out to make sure that the sleeves didn't get twisted and that you can put your arm through it. And when you're done, it should have like this nice clean seam where the lining meets the outside of the fabric. So far, this is what our jacket looks like. The lining and the outside portion of the jacket is now connected. Go ahead and turn it inside out and we're gonna pin up that bottom edge. Now you're gonna wanna leave an opening in either the collar or some other part of the jacket so that you can pull the jacket right side out. I just seam ripped like a 3-inch hole underneath the collar so that I could pull it right side out. And I was kind of struggling. I wish I made the hole bigger. But once you're done pulling it inside out, you're just going to take a needle and some thread and you're going to do a runner stitch and hand sew it up and you should be done. This is the end of the tutorial. So that's the McCall's 7847 and I'm going to model for you right now. And I just love the way it turned out. This is actually not for myself. This is for my friend for her birthday, but I paired it with this emerald green dress. It looks so cute. It's funky. It's my style. I love it. It's a fairly easy pattern to follow. And if you're gonna make this jacket, I highly recommend you add some zipper pockets and add some pockets. If you add pockets to your clothing, you're definitely more likely to wear them because you have somewhere to put your things. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. This is my very first video on YouTube. I'm a new creator, so sorry that the lighting is not perfect. Sorry that the cuts are kind of weird. I'm still finding my groove, but I know I'll get it eventually. I'm definitely planning on coming out with more sewing content in the future for sure. Here's some of my past looks. So if you are into this like weird party festival fashion, then please give me a subscribe. I want to make more of these tutorials about festival fashion and club wear and make funky outfits like this. So thanks so much for watching and you guys have a great day.